What's up, everybody? It's Chicago talk show host, and in this video, I want to talk about the latest Kanye West rants on X.
It go my way, shy way, this way or the highway. Shots that lay you off on your day off like Friday.
So we're just gonna jump right into it. So initially when I read this, there's been a lot of talk I've seen regarding the idea of rituals, the idea of ritual killing, the idea of something we're all familiar with, this Faustian pact with the devil, an exchange for wealth and fame, fortune, that familiar story. This is my initial thought. And then it just gets into like this nasty hate. So these are just some examples, right? When there's a lot more cruder ones out there. Some of these, admittedly, they made me laugh. Um, and it is this idea of Kanye being Kanye, but it's just ridiculous, and it's just the whole thing is such a spectacle, right? And the whole thing is even more of a spectacle because it's all online on X. We're just like watching it, and it's like serious, but at the same time, it's all just like a giant joke to him. And then he posts an image like this, right, with this T-shirt on. It trips people out because he says that these outrageous things, but at the same time, he's showing you who he really is. So, with these next three bits or images of these posts, the wheels just come right off, right? This is a sort of, it seems like this has become some sort of like the X platform for him has become like this sort of confessional. Like, it seems like this, I mean, just give a moment from what's being said. It just seems like what I want to focus on is the act of him doing all of this on X, so he knows that all these people will see, right? And it just kind of makes me think of like a little bit of like the Scarlet Letter, right? This act of saying these things openly to the public because whatever is inside the heart, it's so intolerable that you can't not talk about it. So it becomes like this impossible thing where it's just like it drives you crazy. You don't know where to go, but you want to tell people. You want to tell these things that are happening in your head and these crazy things that are happening to you. And you can't make sense of it either. So you just blurt it out and it comes out with all kinds of hate, and it comes out with shades of truth. Perhaps it comes out with like this, a lot of resentment, and it, I mean, I don't, you tell me, what do you think of all this? But this is what it makes me think of. Pay attention to this one. When I was reading something like this, I immediately thought of word magic, spells, the power that's in the words that we speak. And I get it. A lot of people are just like, oh, whatever. It's just whatever. But I don't think so. This makes me think of This makes me think of magic, spellcasting, wizardry, enchantment, chanting spells. But I think the fundamental part that he's trying to point out is there has to be a form of acceptance. Someone may say that to you, but the person only gives it power if they believe in it. Otherwise, it's powerless. It's a weird thing. I'm not, I don't know I don't know the ways of these things, but these are the things I would speculate about how it works. So here he's pointing out that he's apparently been getting threats as well. I mean, let's just face it. You type this kind of stuff, and jimmies are going to get rustled. And then we have this interesting point about black people. And then we have this boom roasted moment where Ye to the limitless amount of pride where he says that he's God. Of course, he's immediately roasted and pwned by the community notes, which is hilarious. So, when I review a lot of his tweets, there's something to be said about that idea of, and I'm sure you've heard of this, that the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. I think some of that applies here. There's also, I get vibes of like desperation, nihilism, hopelessness, godlessness, and instead of God, and because as a result of godlessness, he tries to put himself as God, but at the same time, he has apparent reverence for God. You know, it's a very contradicting yet confirmation of things at the same time in bizarre and incoherent ways. Um, I think this is something that, you know, we've seen images of him and his wife being out, right? This sort of ironic name, Sensori, and yet half the time she's naked. And any E. Michael Jones reader will tell you that one of the things that you learn from reading his books is that lust darkens the mind. All right? Lust darkens the mind. So if you have a conscience that's in the dark, you're not going to have reason and logic to help guide you in your behavior. It becomes distorted. So you become irrational. And and so when you're irrational like that, you become less of a man. It's almost like you reverted into like this a sort of beast. And that the result of all this is that this is something that the oligarchs understand and has been, as E. Michael Jones has proposed, has written about, that this sort of thing can be manipulated as a form of political control. This is why I urge you to read a lot of his books. This is why I urge you to come and visit and take a closer look at my channel. Books like Libido Dominandi, Sexual Liberation, Political Control, which I have a book review of to get you started. Books like The Dangers of Beauty, right? What does it mean with all these changes in art? You know, we're talking about an artist, right, in Kanye West. But what does all this mean? I talk about Degenerate Moderns, another book of his, an earlier work. And we could talk about Culture Wars magazine and a lot of these articles that supplement this information. But this is what I think is going on. Let me know what you think in the comments. So, what do you make about Kanye West's latest tirade? Do you just kind of just don't care? More power to you. The PlayStation Network is down, so I figured, hey, it might just be. Let me be a little bit productive here, in all honesty. But that's another thing that brings me to another point. Aside from the book reviews that I do, I also want to get into some gaming, and I still game or whatever. And I recently bought Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I've been privy to how the game portrays itself as a Christian game when really it's not. So if that's the case, I'll end up making a whole series dissecting like everything absolutely wrong with that game in terms of Christianity, yet it pretends to be Christian, right? The whole thing doesn't make any sense, right? It's all fantasy and nonsense, but the the pervasiveness of it, the pernicious nature of that sort of thing is it paints it in a bad light, right? What is this with this reinforcing of constantly poo-pooing the Christian faith, right? It's always ridiculed all the time with impunity as well, it seems. But you try to do that with other religions, certain religions, and it just doesn't seem to stand. So, these are these things that I think about. Let me know what you think. Definitely check out those book reviews, what I said. As I mentioned, go through each one. Let me know what you think. I've got interviews with Dr. E. Michael Jones, so make sure you check those out. And subscribe if you haven't. There's a lot of guys that come over here, a lot of people that come into my channel and they just kind of watch, but they don't subscribe. So this is the kind of content I kind of keep building on, and I'm going to keep continue to offer. So make sure you stick around and to get more of that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? Peace.